Hi everyone, thanks for coming to watch me present today. My name is Maddie, I'm a biology major here, and I did my senior capstone on the effects of diet on calcium excretion in rabbits. So some background on rabbits. Rabbits need an adequate amount of calcium in their diet because they do have continuously growing teeth, so the calcium helps support that and also helps support their bone structure. Too much calcium in their diet, however, can cause urolithiasis. And in case you don't know what that is, it's where you get bladder stones stuck in the urethra. Alfalfa hay has been determined to provide too much calcium, but orchard grass and timothy hay are good sources of calcium. However, no real studies have been done until now which one is the better source of calcium for rabbits. Calcium levels can be measured through the urine by performing a urinalysis. And then my hypothesis was that the timothy hay would provide less calcium in the urine, but a mixture of hays would be the best diet. So for my methods, in that picture you can see my setup. That was in my garage. I rented 5 rabbits, and each of them had their own enclosure, their own litter box, and their own little mat at the bottom of the cage for urine collection. So I started by collecting their urine first before any changes in their diet as my control group, and then I fed 2 of the rabbits the orchard grass hay and 3 of them the timothy hay. I fed this for 4 days, and I tested the urine after 2 days and then after the 4th day. And then I transitioned them and swapped them. So the other 3 were on the orchard grass hay, and then the 2 were on the timothy hay. And I transitioned them over a period of 3 days, and again, I counted the crystals after 2 days and after 4 days. And then I compared them. Okay, so these were the rabbits that I used. I named them each. The one on the top there, that one is Lil Wayne. The one in the middle is Kanye. That one, Vanilla Ice, then Bunny and Flopsy. And they each had a corresponding number so that I knew which urine was which. So this is kind of an example of my setup here. This was at Cazenovia Animal Hospital, which was nice enough to let me use their laboratory. So as you can see, I have the 5 bags, and they're each labeled. They each have the rabbit number and the date that I collected it on. When I couldn't test the urine right away, I would refrigerate it. So as you can see, there's a variety of different colors and thicknesses of the urine. And then the other picture is showing how I would test the urine. So I would take it, I would spin it down in a centrifuge and get the sediment pellet at the bottom. And then I would pour off the supernatant. I would add the SETI stain, which is the dye stain. I'd put a drop of that on a slide, put a cover slip on that, and look at that under high power. And I counted the amount of crystals I found in 10 random high power fields. And then for the control group and on day 4 of the diet, I also tested the pH, which I use those pH strips for. You just put a drop of the urine on it, and then it changes color, and you compare the colors to the little key that it gives you to find the pH. I did this on only days 4 in the control group because they're kind of in limited supply and they're really expensive, so I didn't want to use too many of them. So this is kind of what I was looking at under the microscope. As you can see, that's an example of, the sediment pellet. So that top portion there, the liquid portion, I would pour off, and then the sediment is what I'd be looking at under the microscope. So when I first started the hay diet, these rabbits weren't getting hay at all, which hay is a very important component of their diet. So the really dark, cloudy urine, that's when I first started. That was from the control group. And then after being on the hay, it didn't matter which type of hay, their urine was much clearer by the end and much more healthy looking. So those little, you can't really see them super great here, but those little barbell looking crystals, that's what I was counting. So here are my results. So I did perform a t-test. So I have the control group and the amount of crystals I found in 10 high power fields, and then I have the orchard grass diet on days 2 and 4, and the timothy hay diet on days 2 and 4. So for the orchard grass hay, day 2 and 4, I did not get a significant result. My p-value is 0.119. On Timothy hay, day 2 versus day 4, I did get a significant result of 0.002. Then I compared the orchard grass versus Timothy hay on days 2 and day 4. Again, I didn't get any significant results here. And then I compared both hays to the control group on days 2 and days 4. So this is for the Timothy hay, no significant values here. And this is the orchard grass hay, again, no significant values. So the next thing that I looked at was the pH. Rabbit urine should be very alkaline. And for the most part, for the control group, again, this is before they are on any sort of hay at all, their urine is pretty alkaline, except for rabbit number 2 had a very acidic pH at 5. And then after being on the hay, that pH increased to 8. So not really much of a change. All of their urine, except for rabbit number 2, remained very alkaline. So this is a graph of the pH comparing the orchard grass hay versus the Timothy hay. Again, no significant value here. And then I compared the control versus orchard grass and the control versus Timothy hay, and I did not get a significant p-value. So like I said, my only significant value was in the crystals in the Timothy hay on day 2 versus day 4. This does prove part of my hypothesis, actually, that a mixture of the 2 hays is probably the best diet, because I didn't really prove that one hay was better than the other. But my first part of my hypothesis, that the Timothy hay would provide less calcium in the urine, can be rejected, because like I said, based on my p-values, it didn't prove that one was better than the other. It's worth noting the possible sources of error in this experiment. The number one thing is probably artifacts. As you can see, this is another picture of what I looked at. There's a large epithelial cell there covering some of the crystals, making it kind of hard to count them. And again, human error is a big thing, since the crystals kind of sit on top of each other sometimes, and they're a variety of shapes and sizes, so that can make it difficult to count. So I definitely could have miscounted some of the crystals. And then in the urine collection, I was not doing this sterilely. I was sucking the urine up using a syringe from the mat or the litter box that they went into. So some other things like dirt, pollen, things like that could have gotten in the urine as well and contaminated it, making it harder to count the crystals.